how often is your painful history showing up and triggering some degree of threat response in your body? The average person has a threat response 600 times in an hour.
Whoa. Why do I hate long lines?
Oh, hi, ADHD.
Yeah.
So that connection to thriving because of their connection to God gets broken. And it grieves God's heart. And he's been chasing us down ever since, trying to restore that connection and that attachment. He's trying to restore Eden to our hearts, Eden to our nervous systems, Eden to the way that we think, Eden to our emotions, Eden to our relationships.
I am here with Jen Banas, psychotherapist and clinical traumatologist and pastor at Spruce Grove Community Church. So, Jen, thank you so much for doing this.
So welcome.
I was so excited for this.
I am too.
Yeah,
I am too.
Oh, I hope you don't make me cry.
Oh, I hope I do.
Oh no!
I've got Kleenex somewhere.
When I was reading what you wanted to talk about on your message, it was like
Yeah.
right to my spirit, like this kind of not heaviness, but the significance of what you have been trained in and gone through and helped people through.
Yeah.
So I don't want to butcher what you're going to say, but because you're going to be a lot more eloquent. But can you explain to me a little bit more about like what attachment is?
Yeah. So when I think about attachment, sometimes the word that I'll use is like bond or connection.
Okay.
And the idea that in childhood, especially in our like family of origin, in the original family that we're born into, the way that our parents took care of us, the way that we related to them, teaches us a lot about how we then become attached and bonded to other people, friends, romantic partners, etc. And a lot of times what happens in early childhood is that we didn't actually have a secure attachment to our parents, one or both, or whatever caregiver you lived with. And so then what happens is there's this story about who you are because of how you were cared for that you carry along with you. And that really influences how you think you belong in the world to others and particularly to God under that framework of faith. And so the big piece of my heart that I'm really passionate about is, first of all, helping people understand what their attachment style is.
Okay.
In other words, how do you bond to people? How do you connect to people?
Okay.
How deep can you go in your ability to be secure in your relationships? And if there's a interruption of that attachment with someone, how is that affecting how you see God? You know, a lot of times we'll view God from the vantage point of like how we attach to our parents. Like if we had fathers that were like really tough on us and punitive in their discipline style, sometimes subconsciously we're just waiting for God to bring the hammer. It's pretty hard to be deeply attached to a God that you think at any moment is going to be displeased with you and kick you out of the house.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so for me, attachment is about bond. It's about connection. It's about how deeply do you trust someone to move towards them and show them your heart and your soul,
Right.
and sort of like what makes you tick.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense, you know?
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
I hear the noise again, Tob. Should we close the door a little bit? You don't hear it in the...
It must have come on again.
That's okay. Like, were you still on that thought, or
no,
did you
that's
want to...
so good.
Okay.
Unless you want me to expand.
No, that's really good. When I was kind of reading your message, and then I was creeping on you, like your different posts and stuff, and because we hear so much about separation from God.
Yes.
And so attachment, I was so curious about like what like your definition is and how that related to, people of faith and everyone, I mean. And so you were talking about how attachment can create gateways.
Yes.
So can you talk about that a little bit more?
So I think that in my work, both as a pastor and as a therapist, I'm always looking for what I would call open doors to God
Okay.
for us in the room
Yeah.
and for the person that's receiving the care. But that's also something that I've been exploring in my own life is where are the gateways or the on-ramps
Okay.
to attachment with God?
Okay.
And so when I think about my own attachment to God, I think about how, for example, in early childhood, I had an insecure attachment to my parents just because of where they were at in their lives and some of the neglect that I experienced as a child.
Okay.
And so for me, I had a bit of an insecure idea of how I belonged to God.
Okay.
And I needed to find open doors to come to Him and be secure in my relationship with Him.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that I found a gateway to God was by going to counseling
Okay.
and healing some of my childhood history
Yeah.
that kind of ingrained a message in my own soul that maybe I wasn't loved and accepted unconditionally. And so to be able to go to counseling and to put to rest that history, that painful history, and to
Right.
address the core beliefs that I had about myself and about God,
Yeah.
created a gateway or an entryway or an open door to God. And the
Okay.
picture that I always see is this idea of I'm walking down a path and Jesus is standing at the door of a house and He sees me coming and He flings wide the door and He is so excited to see me.
Wow.
And He's like, come, and and He embraces me and He brings me into the house and He sits me at the table.
Yeah.
And it's that picture of Psalm 23 where He sits us at the table in the presence of our enemy, puts oil on our head, and He causes our cup to overflow. And I think what I love about that is when I think about in the presence of my enemies, I think about all the enemies of my life that have kept me from being attached to God. Even if those are still present in my life, Jesus will sit me at the table and fellowship with me and pour His favor on me.
Wow.
And so that's what I think about when I think about gateways to attachment to God.
Okay.
And I think that can happen through many different domains or parts of us. Like we have an emotional domain, we have a physical domain, we have a social domain, we have a psychological domain, et cetera, et cetera. So we have all these like different parts of us
Right.
that if we'll care for them well, we actually create gateways, open doors to connecting with God.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Was it something about defining it or putting words to what you were experiencing? Because I can relate in a way. There's this tension, and you don't know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
But was there something about that kind of helped in the healing process?
100%. I think sometimes we need language for the struggle that we're having.
Yeah.
We need language for
Yeah.
like, why isn't this working for me?
Yeah.
Like, you know how sometimes you can watch let's use this for example, other Christians in your life who seem to be thriving in their relationship with God, seem to be thriving in their life, and you feel like you're not making the same connection that they are. And so for me, I could see and feel that I was struggling in certain areas of my life with connection to God and being able to reach that place of thriving. And so being able to, for example, go to my own counseling and have someone be witness to the story of who I am and start to name the barriers that were getting in the way of that and help me find spaces and places of healing to move past those barriers through the gateway to God and to be able to have language for that, to name it out loud, actually helped me build a different relationship to them as well.
Yeah.
And not only did it give me language to overcome
Right.
and to find connection and attachment to God, but then all of a sudden I've got this content to be able to bring to other people who don't have language. Because I think sometimes when we don't have language for our struggles, we become despairing. and hopeless.
Yeah.
And we know that in the Word it says, without hope, the people perish. Without vision, the people perish.
Yeah.
Hope deferred makes the heart sick. So sometimes language gives us that.
100. I was thinking about like, so when I was diagnosed with ADHD at age 38.
Yes.
And then, kind of getting coaching on that and figuring it out, like what I was going through at that time, it unlocked certain things for me. And kind of, because when you're struggling through it, you almost feel like, what is wrong with me?
Yes.
Why are these different things coming up? But then, just like you said, to put language to it, really, I don't know if validate is the right word.
I would say so.
But yeah, so it's like, I'm not crazy. Like there was something going on that wasn't addressed.
Yes.
And so now as an adult, we're dealing with it.
It's like you have this invitation to have a different relationship with yourself now.
Yeah.
And also to have a different relationship with that ADHD.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden shame gets taken out of the picture. It's like,
Yeah.
because me also being diagnosed as an adult, you go through a lot of life with shame because you feel like, why am I such a hot mess? Why am I a dumpster fire? Why can't I not get things done, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
And then there's a name for what's going on. And we don't have to over-identify with. In fact, what we can do is compassionately move towards it and equip ourselves to have a better relationship with it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. I like how you said over-identify.
Yeah.
Because I'm very careful to, like, I like to joke about it because I just
me
like
too.
joking about things.
You do.
But I've noticed that so many people with certain characteristics or certain, I don't want to say shortcomings, they will make that thing into their identity.
For sure.
And it's like, that is a part of who you are, but that is not who you are.
Yeah.
You are so much more than just this thing or this experience or characteristic.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that you name it as a part. And there, in psychology, there's a modality that we use. It's called internal family systems. Okay. And it's an approach where we sort of say, within all of us are these parts, like a little family in us.
Yeah.
And, maybe one member of the family is ADHD. And ADHD sits at the table, the same table Jesus set for all of us, anoints ADHD with oil, believe it or not, But at the same time, ADHD is just one member of the family. And sometimes we've let ADHD perhaps run the show or lead the whole fam. And maybe we have to have some boundaries with ADHD while at the same time have deep compassion, and so I think the way that you say part, it isn't all of us, our struggles or our shortcomings or our points of growth, but we can certainly bring strength and health to them at the same time.
Absolutely.
So that they're a healthy part of the family that can contribute to the whole of who we are.
100.
Yeah.
When it came, because I was diagnosed after my youngest, Cato, was diagnosed.
Yes.
So watching him go through it, and then just this passion to be his advocate.
Yes.
And to give him resources that I didn't have.
Yes.
And so, are you okay? Do you need to?
I need to change.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's crazy.
I mean, like...
Yeah, if you knew what you were getting into, like God invites us, and it's like, but you don't really know what's required for that to happen. Because if we knew, like, how many of us would choose to go on this adventure that God invites us to.
Man.
So
when I think about some of the suffering that I've experienced, if God would have said ahead of time, okay, here's the list of all the things you'll suffer from. Check the boxes of things that you're willing to say yes to. I would have been like, I'm good.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And we were having this conversation on the way here, and then talking about long suffering and then the journey, and not necessarily, I don't want to say it's the destination. It's about the journey, not the destination, because that's silly, but the process of becoming.
Yes.
Who God wants you to be and needs you to be in order to operate. Is it good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I totally lost my train of thought of whatever I was talking about before. And that's okay.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get back there.
Did I ask this already? Like, about being wired to thrive in our attachment to God? Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked it. So when I think about the picture of the Garden of Eden,
Yeah.
that's the original intention that God had for us.
Mm.
You know, like that he walked with Adam and Eve
We were in direct communion.
in direct communion in this
Yeah.
beautiful garden. And there's a sense that there's a flourishing, you know, physically, the fruitfulness of the garden, the beauty of it. There's a flourishing in their relationship with one another. There's no shame. You know, like they walked around naked.
Yeah.
And that was no big deal to God or to them.
Yeah.
Like just the openness, the vulnerability, like I'm in my full humanity with you right now.
Right. Yeah.
And then broken attachment
Mm.
because of sin.
Yeah.
So that connection to thriving because of their connection to God gets broken. And it grieves God's heart. And he's been chasing us down ever since,
Oh, wow.
trying to restore that connection and that attachment. He's trying to restore Eden to our hearts, Eden to our nervous systems, Eden to the way that we think, Eden to our emotions, Eden to our relationships. And I think that what I've noticed is that in some ways, our insecure attachments to people around us are a reflection of that cost of the brokenness that happened in Eden. And God actually wants to restore Eden to us now.
Oh, it's falling down. Sorry to interrupt your thought.
That's great. This is real life, man.
No, it's good. I'm just trying to process what you're saying. It's this, you know, God is trying to restore that connection.
Yes.
And so with attachments, did I interrupt your
No,
thought?
keep going.
Well, maybe I'll just wait for the distraction to be over, and then maybe we'll close the door. That is, man, that is so good. But I don't want to interrupt the flow.
Yeah.
Maybe we should close the door like a little bit. Yeah. So just the whole idea of we're wired to thrive in that way, and I can't say that many of us are in that place, and it'll be a continuous journey as long as you're on this side of eternity.
Yeah.
But can you expand on that a little bit more of like how the journey and the process of thriving in relationship?
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a lot of things at play. And maybe I'll speak it from a North American culture vantage point, because like that's the culture that I'm in.
Yeah.
And maybe even go further, North American Christianity, like that culture as well. I think that there's a lot of things at play in terms of why we're not thriving the way that we would want to, or the way that we like read the word tells us we could be. I think that when I go back to that idea of domains, so we have these domains in our life, or these parts of us. We've got an emotional part, we've got a physical part, we've got a cognitive part, we've got a spiritual part, and forgetting the fifth one because that's my ADHD brain.
You said, did you say cognitive, social, physical, emotional, spiritual?
Social. There we go, social. And so I think sometimes what can happen is that if we don't care for those domains, so imagine them maybe as like your little inner family members for a minute, you know?
Okay.
And when you think about what happens when we neglect a child, he'll start to act out. There's going to be signs that he's not thriving, you know, and that can happen in our domains as well. So if I don't care for my physical domain, make sure I'm getting my sleep. I'm notorious for not drinking enough water, so I'm so committed to drinking water, moving my body, getting into creation, etc., etc. So I've got all these domains. If I neglect them, then what happens is they act up in my life. They start to speak to me loudly because they play a role in my thriving. And the other thing, too, is that those domains are meant to also be attached to God. We're also meant to invite God into those domains in our life. So when they start to act out, for me, that's an invitation for connection and for a deeper level of thriving. So, for instance, I make sure that I see a therapist to care for that emotional domain. And I try to move my body. I try to get rest. Socially, I have to have healthy connections with others. I have to be practicing vulnerable relationship with people that see me unconditionally and have my best interest in mind, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we can look at our lives and think, I'm not thriving as a Christian, or I'm not thriving in my relationship with God because I'm not a good Christian. But my argument is again, maybe one of those gateways, one of those domains needs a little care. And once we give it that care and attention, perhaps it then, when it's more attached to God and God is more present in it, we actually open up doors to be closer to God and to thrive.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I love how you include the physical and emotional and social, because it's so natural to prioritize certain ones over the others and neglect to the other ones.
It's totally normal.
Yeah.
We're human.
Yeah.
And I think we're learning how to move graciously and compassionately with all of our domains in a healthy way. But again, North American culture, it is a busy place. It is a place full of distraction.
Yeah.
Right now, I would even name that there's a portion of that North American culture that's really contentious and really charged with a lot of negative energy. And we're fielding that all the time. And so our energy in these domains is being pulled on all the time.
Yeah.
And just trying to be healthy and grounded in each of our domains can be very challenging.
Right.
We're a busy culture.
Yeah.
We're a distracted culture.
Yeah.
You know, we can be a hyper obsessed culture.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that would be sort of my prayer, my desire, is that we'd find rest in each of our domains.
Absolutely.
Rest with God, you know?
That is so cool. Now, I hope I'm going to be able to articulate my thoughts, but so we have these opportunities to have open gateways towards God.
Yeah.
And there's the spiritual element.
Yes.
But then just our natural state of being in separation because of the fall, the humanity part of it is kind of the human experience.
Yes.
But then there's also, that spiritual element of, and I've heard different people, kind of have opinions on different things. I heard one person say that in North America, we don't really experience spiritual warfare, and don't agree with that. And maybe there was more to it, but I think maybe his point was that what we are labeling spiritual warfare is really just those places that need care and attention.
Yeah.
And let me know if I'm way off, but the enemy is an opportunist. So if there's something there that he can latch onto and hook onto, he will expose it.
Yes.
Because he's not like God in that he's omnipresent, but plant a seed, and then there'll be triggers that he can, and we'll talk about that later. But so what do you think about that? The spiritual component of there are actual forces that are against humanity and believers, but then also just those parts we just need to go see a therapist. Let's
You need a nap, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think this, particularly, I'd say in the last probably 6 years, around 2018, 2020, when COVID hit, and I'm this practicing therapist and running a church, I became deeply interested in this idea of the interplay between even psychology and spirituality, or the interplay between what you're naming, which is our normal human domains and what's going on in the spirit. And I think that I would name it as both and. I know that when I'm really tired, I'm also typically quite emotional. And when I'm tired and emotional, I find that I become a little bit more harassed by spiritual forces.
Because you're more vulnerable.
I'm more vulnerable. Or for example, if I have a trauma history and my nervous system is wired in that trauma state where I tend to be a little bit more hyper aware of threat around me, I feel like the enemy uses that as an opportunity to harass people, to continue to be in an anxious, fearful state where the world is scary and there's no hope and I must fight this battle all by myself and I'm totally alone in the world, etc. And so I think there's the interplay of both. And so I think that one of the things that I love about being a person of faith is that I can turn towards my domains and go, here's where these parts of me need care. And part of the way I'm going to do that, not only on a practical level, is believe that Jesus wants to be present in every single part of my being. You know, a story that I often tell my congregants is the story of a few years ago. I had a number of weeks. I have a number of like physical health challenges that I'm working on. I had a number of weeks where I was not well. And by the end of those 3 weeks, I was sure that I was dying of cancer. But that's always my story. I'm always like Googling my symptoms and like, it's just not a good idea. Highly do not recommend. And so I'm in my kitchen praying and I'm like, God, like, I think I'm really sick and I'm scared, you know, and it turned into this movie running through my head of like, I was starting to write my own funeral. Like pick the songs for my funeral, you know?
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit literally interrupted me in my kitchen and said, Jen, girl, you got to drink more water. You're dehydrated. And I was like, what? So I just started drinking more water and I felt fantastic.
Wow.
I felt fantastic, you know? And so here I am crying out to the Lord in my death throes. And he's like, pal, like, dude, drink some water. You know what I mean? But he cares about that. He cares about being invited into our domains and bringing freedom and overcoming in them. So sometimes it's going to be a battle where you're going to have to like fight the enemy and cut off his influence in our lives. But there are also going to be times when you may just need to drink water, take a nap.
100.
You know what I mean?
100.
But God cares about that.
Absolutely.
He does.
I think too, giving too much power to the enemy for different things is a disservice to us. Like, you know, when we, especially as believers, have that opportunity to be in communion and have connection and attached to God in these areas. And so, but not to downplay, you know, the role of what's going on in the Spirit.
100%. And I would say actually that for me, you know, like I grew up in Christian culture and a good portion of my life has been in charismatic Christian culture.
Right.
And I would say that there's a ton of value in having some wisdom and insight into spiritual warfare. But I think my greatest spiritual breakthrough came when I started going to counseling, and then I started my own training to become a therapist. And I was being forced to experience the modalities that we were practicing on people. I was being forced to address my own trauma history. I was being forced to address my own insecure attachment styles and conflict avoidance styles and blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, I was finding victory in the Spirit because those domains that I hadn't cared for were kind of hijacking my ability to robustly, with strength in all my parts, come and do that spiritual warfare.
Wow.
So sometimes if we don't care for our domains, if we don't turn towards them, and face them with courage and with the support of Jesus, they will hijack your ability to be spiritually robust.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a part of, well, I don't want to give a blanket statement for all people, but if we could just get some healing and, like you said, care for all those different domains, we could experience what it is like to thrive.
Yes.
And we, like you said, we're wired to do that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like people almost maybe get a dopamine hit out of their trauma, and I don't know, maybe that's really insensitive to say, but I don't know, like almost enjoy being in that place, or not necessarily enjoy it, but it's so familiar, and they don't know another way.
Yeah, like I think when I think back even to myself, when I started doing my own inner healing, one of the things that I discovered was how addicted I was to shame. And again, when I'll go back to that whole internal family systems model of doing things. So a little family member inside of me was shame. And she played a super protective role in my life because of my hurt in childhood. I learned how to perform for love. I learned how to hustle for love. I learned how to create excellent outcomes that prove that I'm lovable.
Wow.
And so shame is this family member that is not going to let my guard down, and is not going to let me sit still, and is not going to let me rest. But shame was protecting the risk of me feeling and experiencing pain from rejection again.
Yeah.
And so when I started sort of confronting and addressing and understanding the role that shame played in my life, and trying to distance myself from her a little bit, and the amount of influence that she had in my life, I had a real crisis, identity crisis, because it was like, I actually don't know how to motivate myself without shame.
Wow.
I don't know how to move hopefully towards something without being anxiously energized.
Right.
And so it's a real crisis when we move towards healing, and it's a loss. It's a loss of a family member, or the way that you relate to that internal family member. And so for me, I had to figure out what it would be like to dream about being motivated by something other than shame.
Yeah. Huh.
And so I think that sort of relates to what you're talking about, how sometimes we can over-identify with who we've been for so long, whether that be trauma or etc.
Yeah.
And to be able to start to graciously, compassionately, kindly thank how these parts of us have got us through to now.
Yeah.
Shame got me through a lot of stuff, man.
Right.
I got stuff done.
Yeah.
But she was burning me out. And she was overburdened with the responsibility of protecting me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to be able to gently, compassionately invite Jesus into the space to be able to say, shame, I let you off the hook. This isn't your job anymore. You can rest. And for me to be able to go, I want to be motivated by hope. I want to be motivated by love. I want to be a person who over-identifies with the grace of Jesus.
Right.
And what I find is that as we change our relationship to some of those things we've been attached to that have been our safety net,
Right.
they've been our motivators, they've been our protectors.
Right.
As we begin to change our relationship to them, we can actually move towards the world in so much life. We can attach to them in healthier ways. We can attach to ourselves and Jesus and our partners in such healthier ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how and I want to get to triggers eventually, and I feel like this is kind of tying into it, but how you were kind of defining shame as protecting you.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not going to try to explain it because you're going to do a better job, but that's interesting that its role was to protect you, because is that something that is innate? Like our brains are wired that way, and God is just so sovereign. He knows that the human experience needs these certain things, or like, because shame, you think shame is bad.
Yeah.
But then you talk a bit about how it had played a role in protecting you.
Yeah.
So can you make it make sense?
Yeah. Can I make it make sense? Good luck with that, man. You know. So when we think about the picture of the garden, they eat from the fruit.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they realize they're naked. God had no issue with their nakedness, yet he clothed them. So it was almost like, for now, I'm going to extend grace for your protective mechanisms that you're using until we can reattach to one another, till we can be reconciled properly.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
And so I really believe that as kids, for example, growing up in the households that we did, we were trained to operate in certain mechanisms that allowed us to have the attachment that we needed and wanted. And God understands that. He understands that our mechanisms for seeking attachment, seeking covering, seeking safety is the best we can do with what we have. Right?
Yeah.
And when we think about Jesus naked on the cross, arms wide open, heart exposed, bleeding, and saying, I will pour myself out so that you don't have to carry the weight of all those protective mechanisms anymore.
Wow.
And you can come to me naked again.
Wow. That's wild. What's up, buddy? Oh,
That's sweet.
good job.
That is amazing.
Can I see? It kind of reminds me of Star Wars.
I hope you don't pull it apart, because I want the other kids that come in to see it.
Very
But you may
cool.
want to take it apart and rebuild something else, right?
Very cool.
I tried to build a ship.
Did you? Not enough pieces?
You still could.
No, but it sucks.
No. So, parenting, we are trying to, we want him to be cognizant of the language he uses and the words he says out loud.
Yeah.
But we're working on it.
I mean, like, we're still learning how to do that at our age.
100.
I'm almost 50 and I'm like, whoops, that just came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
The overflow of my inner world just came out of my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I'm just glad that I have some experience and knowledge to help equip him at his age.
Yes.
Right? But do you need something else, buddy? Or you okay? Sorry to get us both ADHD distracted on like a side quest.
It's real life.
I want to ask about triggers, and I was reading just like your different posts and listening to it, and I'm taking notes. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just gonna let Jen talk about it. But so triggers. I'm gonna stop talking and let you talk about it.
Well, I think that it's a very popular word now in our culture. And I am realizing that maybe we don't quite know what triggers are. We have an idea about what they are. Like if somebody says to you, I'm triggered, sort of what's the first thought that comes to your mind? What's the first instinct that you feel in terms of your responsibility towards that person's trigger? And so I think that if I were to ask 10 people in a room that question, we might get 10 kind of different answers about what a trigger is and how we should be responding to it.
Right.
So I think my idea of a trigger is that we have painful past learning. You know, a lot of times it happens in early childhood, in those developmental years.
Wow.
And they get rooted in us so subconsciously that automatically they get bumped against, rubbed against, and they are activated. And our nervous systems are wired to read that painful past experience as happening right now. So even if I have an experience of neglect as a 4-year-old, if I haven't spent time healing that history and paying attention to how my nervous system has wired towards protecting that neglected 4-year-old, present day, my brain doesn't know the difference between past threat and present threat.
That's wild.
It just doesn't know the difference.
Because it's still
sitting in your brain, and your brain is ringing the danger bell, thinking it's still happening to you.
Wow.
So a trigger happens when I'm sitting in a room, and I'll use me and my husband as an example, and he says something, and my history gets fired up, and all of a sudden, 4-year-old self that experienced neglect
Yeah.
is completely insecure and threatened, and my nervous system is going bonkers, and I can feel it in my body, and there's these really intense emotions. What do I say? I'm triggered. What you said just triggered me.
Right.
It's not actually really what Chris said. It's what my little part heard.
Right.
And if I try to control everything Chris says and does,
Yeah.
it's not going to heal my 4-year-old self. It just makes my world smaller.
Right.
And so the idea behind recognizing that a trigger is happening inside of you, your history is happening, your nervous system is happening, your emotions are happening all at once in a setting. I want to be able to go, I need to turn towards self. I need to self-soothe.
Yeah.
I need to recognize what's going on in my nervous system. I need to have skills to self-soothe. And I also need to find a way to attach to 4-year-old self and reparent her so that she doesn't feel so unsafe with Chris, who she's perceiving as another person who's going to abandon.
That is so wild that you use the term reparent.
Yeah.
That inner child. Like, and oh man, that breaks my heart, you know, in those developmental years.
Yes.
And in the spectrum of life, it's such a short period.
It is.
But those years are so significant and impactful for everyone. And especially if you had, you know, an experience where you felt neglected, or, you know, everybody has their different things that they have dealt with. So that reparenting that inner child is, I love the phraseology for that.
Yeah.
Because it is really, it just makes things make more sense. And Toby right now is like, thank you. Because as sometimes if he raises his voice, he is not yelling. But because I was yelled at a lot as a kid, if he raises his if he raises his voice, I'm like, why are you yelling at me? It's like, I'm not yelling.
Yeah.
Like, but how I perceive it and interpret it, it's not something he's doing intentionally, but I guess like a trigger, maybe. So that's so crazy, and then it just breaks my heart.
It breaks my heart too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'll sometimes do when I'm feeling triggered? I'll stop and take a deep breath and ask myself, how old am I right now? Because I'm certainly not almost 50-year-old Jen who's deeply rooted and grounded in Christ and very equipped and competent.
Yeah.
That's not my spirit-led self that's responding to this right now. So how old am I? Who am I right now? You know, and there's been times when it's like a memory will come up of like being a teenager and you know, being mistreated by men. You know, or I'm a 4-year-old who was longing for mom to love me more than drugs. You know, and all of a sudden when I'm turning towards teenage Jen and recognizing the pain that she's expressing in that moment, it's not even about Chris anymore, who I think is the trigger.
Yeah.
It's about this person that's going, I need you to be present with me. I need you to hear my voice. I need you to unconditionally turn towards me. It can be very powerful and very profound. And again, that becomes a gateway to God.
Yeah.
Because I can say that there were areas of my life that still needed healing, would still get triggered, that did not believe and could not believe that God could love me as I am. So to be able to turn towards that part of me, first as adult Jen, you know, spiritually grounded Jen, and go, hey, buddy, I got your back. Let's get to know each other.
Yeah.
You know, where you weren't parented, let me do it for you right now. I'll do it for you right now in the room. I will love you. I will hold you. I'll sit you on my lap and I'll rock you. You know,
being compassionate to yourself.
Legit.
Wow.
So I get to represent Jesus to myself. And then eventually I get to invite Jesus to that part of me, you know. So it's this spiritual act of warfare that looks like moving towards these domains that need care still.
That's interesting. Just the spiritual warfare part of it. It's really you really need to be cognizant and intentional.
Yes.
And take action.
Yeah.
So, wow. So practically,
Yeah.
when we notice that we're getting triggered,
Yeah.
and so you talk about not focusing on the external source of it, because that's not going to be helpful,
Yeah.
but looking inwards and being like, okay, like what is happening here?
Yes. Yeah, there's like a psychological or scientific term for that, and they call it interoception.
Okay.
And interoception is the practice of opening up your awareness to what's going on inside of you, particularly body sensations, nervous system sensations. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. I'm sitting with Chris, and we're having a conversation about finances. I don't know what couple doesn't at some point in time in their marriage have a difficult conversation about finances. If you want to know where your triggers are, talk about money. So we're sitting down, we're talking about finances, and all of a sudden I'm noticing a tension in my chest. I feel like my forehead is starting to burn and my throat's starting to close up. And so I can name that now as, oh, I'm triggered.
Okay.
I'm triggered right now.
Yeah.
So I could look at Chris and go, you're triggering me, demanding all these things about our finances. Or I could go, I'm noticing I'm having these physical sensations, and I'm going to name that as, oh, that's anxiety. So I've learned that when my belly does this, my chest does this, I'm having anxiety.
Okay.
And so then I'm going to go, what part of me is feeling anxious right now? Present day me, like spirit-led Jen who's 48 years old and knows how to do a budget? Or is it 4-year-old Jen who would hear her parents talk about being in the hole again this month and not having money to pay the bills and how scary that felt for her? And feeling responsible for being the kid that's draining their finances.
Wow. Wow.
So all of a sudden I'm realizing I'm having a physical sensation of anxiety. I'm feeling triggered. 4-year-old self is hearing the message, you're a burden on the finances. And so as Chris is wanting to have this productive adult conversation, 4-year-old self is going, oh no, I'm in trouble. And so then my next step is to regulate myself, take a deep breath, maybe name to Chris, oh man, I'm feeling anxious. I can tell that there's some things that I'm thinking you're saying about me, And to be able to comfort myself, to be able to relax my body, settle into my chair, maybe pull my spirit-led self forward a little bit and just be like, you know what, little buddy, I got you. I'm going to come back to you and we're going to talk about how scary this is, but I'm going to have this talk right now.
Wow.
There's some things we need to talk through.
Wow.
So that is an example of how you could process through a trigger.
Right.
Does it take a lot of self-awareness and work? It really does. You got to be doing the work to get to that place.
Right. Right. But so that's the first step, is recognizing it.
Interoception.
Yeah.
So like I'd say, maybe first thing people could do is start to notice your body sensations.
Okay.
Name them, and then maybe ask that question, what emotion might be attached to that sensation? And once you name the emotion, maybe then you could move towards what part of you is triggered. That's pretty deep work.
Yeah.
Might not have the time to do that in the moment.
Right.
But maybe you have a name for your emotion now, or a name for your sensation, and you could soothe yourself a little bit. That could be a start.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just all these different thoughts of different things that will trigger people, and not necessarily in the moment you're not recognizing it as a fear that you're experiencing because of your past pain and trauma.
Yeah.
but then to, like you said, you have to be really self-aware
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
like what is going on here?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So it's really more the first step of towards your inner healing is just identifying it.
Yeah.
Is that right to say?
Yeah. In some of the trauma training that I did, they talked about some of the research they did about how many threat responses we have in
Okay.
an hour.
Okay.
And so it's the idea of how often is your painful history showing up and triggering some degree of threat response in your body. And they say the average person has a threat response 600 times in an hour.
Whoa.
So that could be as simple as your muscles get tight, you sort of feel a little insecure, your extremities are tingling, whatever. And so this is how I look at it, we have the opportunity to comfort ourselves and build awareness 600 times in an hour.
Wow.
Where I can go, oh, I'm tight. Like I've got my shoulders up to here and I'm kind of sitting forward. I'm going to relax my body. I'm going to notice I'm having some kind of threat response from painful past learning. I'm going to get back into myself, get present again, settle myself in.
Yeah.
And so that could be an opportunity to build some interoception or awareness
Yeah.
of where we get triggered.
Yeah.
600 times is a lot.
There's a lot for 1 hour.
Isn't that wild?
It is, but I appreciate that, now you are giving me language for this, because sometimes we can over spiritualize things.
Yes.
But the spiritual is one domain, the emotional is
that's
one
right.
domain,
You named
the
it.
different domains. So that is so good.
Yeah.
Having practical tools.
Yeah, it is. It's so important. I think that's what catapulted me into a deeper relationship with God.
Yeah.
Was to be able to say, holy cow, 600 times in an hour,
Yeah.
I'm having a threat response and pulling myself back from
Yeah.
attachment and connection to people and to God.
Yeah.
And if I can self-soothe and recognize when I'm having a moment, settle myself down, calm my nervous system, get back into a calm state, I can move towards again. So every time we notice these things and soothe them, we're creating opportunities for attachment and connection again with God.
Yeah.
Then we can move into the spirit without trying to fight or white knuckle these hijacks.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense, and so practical, because is the battery okay? And
Got 14 minutes left on this card.
on the
Okay.
card, okay. So well,
We're like the last drunk at the party.
Yeah.
We're like, we will just go to the end of that card.
I want to really be able to give the keys, but so
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, for me, like loud noises, and that must be like some anxiety,
Sure.
but also like driving
Yeah.
for me, and I didn't know, like, and almost excuse myself because just a habit of like, man, people suck at driving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anger. And so historically, like, I come from a long line of very angry people.
Yes.
And I used to punch walls and, and I play competitive tennis, like throw my tennis racket. So bad. So bad. But, I have been healed a lot from that. But then driving was an area that it was like, man, I need some redemption in this area. And so what I would do when I recognized how crazy I would get, because people don't know how to zipper merge,
Come on, people, get it right.
is, but you're giving links. So I would just start praying in tongues. And,
Lovely.
kind of engaging my spirit.
Yeah, lovely.
Don't know what's going on there, but I need to do something with this, whatever I'm feeling triggered. And so that's what I would do. Like,
love that.
It's all I knew to do.
Yeah.
And without kind of thinking about it, when I start to feel tense, just like
Yeah.
breathing.
Yes. Yes.
So what are,
I love
I guess,
it.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. Or eating sugar. Probably
Yeah.
not.
Hallelujah.
What are practical things people can do when they're feeling triggered?
Yeah. I actually think that if you can access your breath,
Okay.
you can release your nervous system from trigger. I would say start there.
Okay.
So what we know is that someone who's breathing well and has a relaxed muscle body, you cannot be in nervous system overhaul. So what I tell people to do is to take 2 sniffs in through their nose and a long breath out through their mouth. So you're just going to do a... And as you're doing that, you're going to imagine that you're relaxing, releasing your muscles from the top of your head all the way down your body.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of things we can't access. When I'm in the car, I can't meditate. I can't pour a bath for myself. I can't go see my psychiatrist, psychologist. But I certainly can breathe and relax my muscles. So what I've noticed is that the very first thing I can access, breath and body. So try to drop, soften, and lengthen your muscles as much as you can while doing that breath work.
So
And
not tense, just kind of like relaxing.
yeah,
Okay.
relax. And for some people, there may be parts of your body that won't release because that's the part of your body that needs to stay a little bit more protected, and that's fine. But find a part of your body that you can relax and loosen
Yeah.
as you breathe. And so practice it. You know, like say this week, try to notice, check in with yourself a couple times in a day. How tense are your muscles? If your muscles are tense, you're in a threat response and some kind of painful past learning's been triggered. Now, sniff in twice through your nose, long breath out through your mouth, and soften your muscles and notice if you feel as intense. If you don't, you've just released your nervous system into rest.
Wow.
And if you can do it once, you can do it again. You're in
Wow.
control of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how much?
10 minutes.
Okay. I'm like,
Last drunk at the party.
so my psychologist, when I was like really feeling anxious, I forget what she called it, but basically she told me to visualize my happy place, like Happy Gilmore.
I love that.
And is there a place where you just felt at rest? And I mean, it's Waimanalo Bay on Oahu, and it's like this remote beach. And she told me, visualize, think about the senses, and think about the water, think about the sand, think about the sun. So like, what is that called?
Yeah. Oh, I actually think you named it. We call it safe place visualization.
Okay.
Yeah. And really what you're doing is inviting your senses to come back online. Because when we're in a threat response, our senses tend to shut off. They go offline.
Okay.
And so if your senses are online, you won't be able to be in a threat response.
Okay.
Yeah, so safe place visualization. And it could be something made up
Yeah.
or it can be something from your memory.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's better to pull something from your memory because that's a lived, felt,
Yeah.
clocked experience in your senses that you're
Right.
bringing back to memory.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Now, oh no, I lost my train of thought. Darn. I hope I get it back before
Just go to
the
your safe place.
SD
It's
card.
okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I really want to try to remember what it was. What was it? What was that thought? It's gone.
Yeah.
Oh well. Do you have any thoughts, like last thoughts before the SD card runs?
Yeah. I feel like that was a beautiful conversation.
All encompassing, super helpful,
All-encompassing.
practical
Yeah.
tools
Yeah.
for people
Yeah.
to go with. We still have a bit of time, Toby.
Yeah.
Why do I hate long lines?
Oh, hi, ADHD. Nice to meet you. I think sometimes long lines can make us feel vulnerable. They can make us feel trapped.
Okay.
They can make us feel like that, when you get in that hyperfixated state and you just got stuff to do.
Yeah, just wanna, like, go.
And it's like, if I don't stay in this stream in that dopamine intensity,
Yeah.
I know I'm going to lose this. And I need to bank on the energy I have now because there's no promises I'll have it
Okay.
in 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes from now.
Yeah.
And maybe you're a bit of an introvert.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh,
you don't like
definitely.
crowds. Maybe
Yeah.
you don't like the idea that you're smushed in line with all these people, and COVID did not help with that.
Yeah.
We all became everybody's enemy.
Right.
So there could be a lot of reasons why that is.
100.
Yeah.
I'm just a weird person.
Me too.
So-
Join the club.
I remembered because we trained quite for many years in self-defense. And so this idea of fight, flight, or freeze.
Yes.
So do you think that, so we have trained our muscles to identify threats.
Yes.
And I'm like, I think dresses are so pretty, but I'm going to wear pants just in case I get in a fight.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, which is crazy. But do you think because of that, certain people are wired to access healing faster or be more vulnerable to what they identify as a threat? Or
Yeah. Well, we talk about in trauma recovery that there are protective factors and resiliency factors that some people have more of that
Okay.
help them to heal quicker and to bounce back better.
Yeah.
And then the flip side of that would be sort of the more painful experiences we've had, especially in childhood when our brain was developing, the more at risk we are of having deeper seated trauma that's harder to recover from.
Wow.
So what we'll tell people is see if you can increase your protective factors. So again, go back to your domains.
Okay.
Socially, find some good friends. You know, make sure that you have cognitively, you have some robust thinking patterns. Find some ways of physically discharging some of that intense energy. Spiritually, see if you can get connected to a community or a pastor or a rabbi or someone who can speak into your spiritual life, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So add some protective factors
Yeah.
so that you can bounce back from pain in a healthier, quicker way.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. How can people find you, Jen? Yourself and your husband, Chris, are the head
Yeah.
pastors.
Spruce Grove Community Church. And then I am sort of in a very ADHD way running an Insta page, One Woman's Song. It's all one word. And when I remember to do posts,
Yeah.
I do them.
Yeah. I have weeks where I'm good and then forget for like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I'll hyperfixate and throw down great content. And then every once in a while I'm like, oh, that's a good, funny, dark meme. I'm just going to slap that
Throw
in
it
there.
in there.
From the sublime to the ridiculous. So there I am, one woman's song
Absolutely.
on Insta.
So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank you. It's
So
been so
good.
lovely.
So this is powerful.
Yeah.
How many minutes do we have?
5.
Wow, we did it. We're it's like
Nailed
that ADHD mode. It's like, now it's time. The pressure's on. Let's go. Let's go for it. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so lovely.
Yay.
So lovely. I'm so
Amazing.
excited for you guys.
I'm also excited.
Yeah.